Let's call a meeting to order. And first thing I want to do is call the roll. But first, I want to thank Commissioner Wilson and Commissioner Moore for making an effort to be here, because along with myself, you made the quorum. So put that in the minutes that they're here. I won't call the roll. So let's try to get the minutes in the meeting. So take as much time as you need.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Thank you, Commissioner Moore. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Let's move right into the EMA report.
All right, so for the month, we've had 12 motor vehicle accidents, 6 commercial vehicle crashes, 2 structure fires, 3 illegal burns. We had our Homeland Security monthly meeting, Special Operations Team monthly meeting, 911 meeting, and we called a hazmat class for Springfield Fire Department. So we wasn't really busy for this month. We've been busy with some other things. And 2 things that I'd like to bring up, actually 3, but 2 things that I want to bring before you because I need you to make a motion on it. One is the county's hazard mitigation plan is to be renewed every 5 years. It's up for renewal. It's already been written. It has to go before Clyde Richard to be a it's got to go before him for a legal review. Yeah, legal review. Yeah, but it's there's another word for it. But it's got to go before him. But you guys need to know about it so you can make a motion, because it has to go before the full county commission.
We'll make a recommendation from this from this committee once Clyde gets through with it.
Okay, so you want Clyde to go ahead and draw it up?
Do we
Yes.
do that now, or?
I know you do a motion, you make a motion at some point, because Clyde, I have to get him a copy of it, and it's called a resolution. He has to draw up a resolution, and then that will go before the full commission to vote on.
So we need to make a motion to go to Clyde.
Yes, ma'am,
The
please.
first time.
Yeah. That's what
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Moore. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Do you understand the commission, the motion, Tina?
I didn't hear I made a motion to take
The hazard mitigation
the
plan.
hazard mitigation to Clyde Richards, the county attorney,
Mhm.
for a resolution.
Yeah, to be formalized.
Right.
And we'll send to the full commission.
Awesome.
It is the second. To Randy.
Take
That's
it.
No, I see that. Since we've already got people prepared, this would be nice to get something.
Any further discussion?
Well, we need to bring that back after he draws that up for approval to take to the floor.
I think if he takes this commission and then writes the resolution, all we need to do is, you might want might want me or one of us to present the resolution, and then we'll,
Okay. I wasn't sure how that works, but I got you. Okay, thank you.
just in case the night that comes up,
Mhm.
y'all count on you being there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, sir. The next thing
Wait.
Uh-huh.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The motion carries unanimously. Now, Chance.
All right, so the county received from the governor's grant about $1 million is what the county's received. So different departments are trying to get X amount of dollars for different projects that their department has. This past budget year, we're in need of another vehicle, replacing the one that RL drove that our current deputy director has. Just due to the fact of the high miles that's on it, it's about 200,000 miles on it. But we're asking to see if we can get some of that to go before the finance committee, some of that money to go to replace us a vehicle. But I know it's got to go. I have to ask for it first before it goes to the next step, which Jody Stewart's helping me and the deputy director on this.
You're talking to Jody, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
I thought we had done a lot of that money.
I think there's
There's still some more left.
Okay,
they got a little more than that.
all right. Okay, as long as you talk to Jody.
Yeah, I talked to her today about it. I was in her office for about an hour.
I know everybody didn't request it. I know the need was so obvious in a couple of places.
I can think of 200 to the highway department. I think the fire department's all got, 20? And, of course, Chet got some from technology.
Sheriff.
Yeah, sheriff got a couple cars out. I just didn't know how much was left.
230.
Okay, well, so I understand, Chance. You think that you need to formalize this request to the finance department?
Yes, sir, but I
You
know
gonna-
Jody said I had to start with you guys to make a motion. If y'all are like, yep, you can go forward with it, then I'll go forward with it more formal in front of the budget
I
committee.
don't know why not, if it's there.
To allocate a
A
vehicle.
new vehicle to, to replace the one that the deputy director is driving now.
As long as the funding's there, I make a motion
I
to
mean, if it's
go
there, we
forward.
get it, we get it, if it ain't there, we won't get it.
Right.
Is that a second, Commissioner
Yes, I
Wilson?
second.
Thank you very much. Any more discussion?
Bill, say something. Want to say something, Mickey?
No,
He's holding his finger up.
I got a question, Chad, later after the meeting.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh.
All those in favor then of this motion to move forward with this request to the finance department, say aye. Aye. The motion carries. Now,
And then the last part of it is, so the deputy director's been working tirelessly every day, working on the CARES Act. I know last meeting, the mayor asked how
Yes.
that was going, and she can speak more on it if she needs to, but she's been getting all of the paperwork that's necessary for the reimbursement for monies that's been spent through all the departments on COVID-related items that normally would not have spent that money had it not been for COVID.
and that has nothing to do with this other $1 million we got.
No,
right?
no,
Okay.
sir, not
So
at all.
this is something that we're gonna have to prove up front and maybe get some funds.
Right, and she's been working on that every day as far as the money.
She's shaking her head no.
Okay.
So what?
As far as the approval of the money up front, how that works is we were allotted 1,067,000 and some change.
We, the county of
The
Robertson?
county as a whole, for any purchases that our county has spent per COVID related. Now, how this gets broke down is into sections, whether it's personal protective equipment, public health, like the screens for the temperature control systems. IT has their own section, overtime has its own section, so it's broke down into multiple sections. So what you do is you take all your documents from all your funding. So you take your invoices, your checks, everything that's been paid showing and receiving that you've received this equipment and how much you paid for it, and then you upload it into this document. So as of right now, I've got, and we're breaking it down into fiscal years to be able to help budget committee easier. So I'm in the process of working on last year's budget, so 19 and 20s. So from March to June 30 is what I'm working on, because March 1st was when we were allowed to claim any of the equipment. So we're working on that, and I've put 35,000 and some change in personal protective so far, and I believe it was 20,000 in public health. And then I've also done the TEMA grant side of it for the schools, because the school system cannot register into the CARES Act. Now, after September 15th, I can no longer claim any of the school stuff, because they've been dropped out of it.
Okay, back up. Let me look at the bigger picture. So you're doing this for every department in the county? And then you said 35,000 would be for the EMA department?
No, that's personal protective equipment. That's how much this county has spent just alone
Yeah, I understand.
on
Okay.
personal protective equipment. Now,
Well,
they
that's
go through and they look at all the paperwork and say, yes, you've got all your documents in line. Yes, we approve everything that you purchased. And then they cut that money for that order of personal protective equipment back to the county, and they'll go back into general funds.
Okay, that's the CARES Act.
Yes, sir.
Now, that first money we was talking about was
Right.
stimulus check.
That's.
But on the CARES Act, you're collecting invoices from the sheriff's department,
Everybody.
from the
Maintenance.
EMS, from the,
EMS.
okay,
She is first in command and Jody's second.
okay. So how do you know it's a little over $1 million?
Because the state so there was a huge fund pool that the White House sent down to the state of Tennessee. And then the state of Tennessee, and this is strictly for COVID-related materials.
Understand.
And then they broke it out towards districts. So when you register into your CARES Act, it'll show you exactly how much you're allowed to spend up to. Now, if you bench that mark, you can still request money. It's just whether there's still money left in the pot to be able to dish out to you afterwards. We're not even getting anywhere close to our $1 million.
Because we haven't spent that much.
No,
over and
because
above.
we've been getting so much equipment from TEMA, which we don't have to pay for, so that has tremendously helped us. Now, however, that's fixing to change,
What do you mean?
because as of today, I have to do monthly shipments instead of weekly shipments, and they're fixing to cut all public health out together except the hospitals.
Yeah, I think the federal government's really trying to cut back.
Yes.
That's where the bill at least.
I sent out a memo to most of the department heads that still receive equipment from me to let them know that, hey, you need to put in a monthly order and overstock for at least 90 days.
Do you think the state based their allocation to each county on population?
Yes, sir. So you get a percentage, just like the stimulus check, you receive the percentage of what your population is. Because it's pretty close, money-wise, I think it's like $300,000 off of what the stimulus check was. And that's where the two monies was actually the same amount. And then right at the end of the county getting ready to receive the stimulus money, they bumped it up to the $203,000. That's where this extra revenue had come from that we're asking for the vehicle is they had additional money left over, so they just dispersed it throughout the county. So that's where the extra 203 came from.
Okay, well, that's a good report, and I encourage you to keep up the good work. We'd like to get reimbursed. We don't want a penny more than we haven't spent, but we sure would be nice to get our part if everybody else is getting theirs.
The cities, they got a stimulus check too, like Springfield got, I think, close to what, $500,000. Did they give any to their fire departments?
I have no idea.
Well, you know they did. They had to.
I hope they did.
They had to.
The county's doing it, and
There's nowhere else to give it. You know, the police department, fire department.
Well, they first said you had to do it on different things, then they changed it, and they just opened it up.
Yeah, you could use it for anything.
You can use it for anything except general fund, I think.
You can run that one by them. I don't know, I ain't studied that one. I don't know. about that one.
I'm gonna bet it didn't make it to the fire department.
Well, anyway, that's a very good report, and thank you very much. As a matter of fact, in my notes, it was one of the things I was going to ask, because I was going to call you, but I didn't ask you when you asked the question last month. Are you okay you said, are you taking care of the CARES Act? She said, yes, I am.
See, the state called me and asked me who to put number one person in a backup. And since she's over at Ema Report, where they are, put her one and Jody second.
Perfect. That's good thinking, Mayor.
And we got one more item of business.
Thank you, Don.
You're more than welcome. Yes.
Yeah, yes, sir. Our last item of business, and I'll let the deputy director speak on that, it's in regards to our Homeland Security grant money. So I'll let her speak on behalf of that.
Homeland Security grant money.
Yes, sir.
Which is different than these other things.
Yes, sir, that's right. It comes from Homeland Security.
Go ahead.
All right, so on the Homeland Security grant, we started last year having to work our own money and projects ourselves. Or this is a district project. So the state receives so much money via Homeland Security money. They break it down into districts. The districts break it down and spread it throughout the counties that are within that district. For many years since the project's been formed, Montgomery County was the one that operated and housed the money for all the districts. So what they would do is we would tell them what we needed. We would purchase it and send the invoice to Montgomery County, and Montgomery County's whole pool itself paid for it and took care of it there. Our counties didn't have to worry about any money. Well, it's gotten so big and so much to do that Montgomery County last year distributed all the paperwork and funding out to each district. So you take care of your own. So last year when we brought it on the board, it was put in as a capital outlay. And it can't be put in that way, and there was a misunderstanding of how this project actually works, because how this project works is you receive the money, say I'm requesting 2020 right now. You receive the money for 2020, you have 3 years to spend that money. However, it rolls over every 3 years, so what you don't spend goes back into the budget for your next year, but you receive money every single year. Now, the money can be a different amount because it's coming from the state and it gets distributed. So there's other projects that have to be done. So each year it comes in, it can be a different amount, and then you're still working off of the previous year's money and that current money. So with it being put into the capital outlay last year, the money that we didn't spend for last year got turned back into revenue. So we're missing, like, I have to go through and pull all of our invoices from what we spent. But I think we're missing around $12,000 from last year. So what Jody and I spoke about is putting it in under the budget as a line item and marking it in there as 799 grant. So that way they know to keep moving that money up. Of course, it's up to the department heads to keep up with how much money is spent in and how much is going out. How this works is you purchase equipment, fill out your paperwork, you send it in to FEMA reimburses the state.
Right.
I know with the new grants, the way they're working, it's not just us that receives the money. We have to allocate so much for cybersecurity and active shooters and stuff like that. So Chet's already received and purchased what he's bought for this year.
You said cybersecurity and active terrorism.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So,
Okay, two things. For the minutes, and get this in there, give me a couple examples of the equipment that we buy through this grant.
So last year, we've been upgrading and making sure, because we have different types of operations skills set for this county that the special operations team uses for the entire county and state and out of state. So last year, we purchased wetsuits, dry suits that was on last year's, water boots, and rope equipment for water. So we're finishing up our water rescue trailer to be able to be completely whole and be able to go wherever it needs to. Right now, it's got everything that it needs.
Okay.
It has to be finished, put together. But we're going slowly and piecing every single operation that we are able to provide for the county and put it into a trailer, finish that trailer, and go on to the next project of what we have. So with the 2020s, we're purchasing a generator for that trailer. We are purchasing an air system to start working on our space trailer with our search and rescue equipment. We are purchasing the cybersecurity equipment, which Chet's already purchased. The sheriff's department gets a cut, but they decided to opt out of it. So I had to do an allocation fund, so they moved that money back over to us. That's where the generator's coming from.
That's okay.
So,
So this stuff is in the trailer at the EMS
Yes,
lot.
that's right. Yes, sir.
Okay, number two, what district are we in?
Sept.
Yeah, District 7, Homeland Security,
All right,
District
who
7.
else is in District 7 with us?
Yeah, Montgomery County, Stewart County,
Dixon,
Dixon,
Houston. Did you say Montgomery?
Yes, sir.
So we go that way.
Yes, yeah. we
Why,
go-
okay, now, last question. Why do you think Montgomery County was distributing this whole thing for the whole 95 counties in Tennessee?
Just for District 7 they were.
Just for
Just
District
District
7, so those counties.
Oh, okay.
Because we were the initial pilot district to start this program up.
It sounds like we had a breakdown in the communications, or we never would have listed that capital item in the wrong place for our funds from other, which is understandable.
Yes,
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Any other questions?
but that will need a motion, so that can go to budget to be able to put into a line item, because it is a $20,000 mark plus.
I entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Is that for the grants or the Homeland?
That's the same thing. That's
okay.
Homeland and grants, it's the same. principle.
That's the same,
Yes, ma'am.
full.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Moore. All in favor, if there's no more discussion, signify by saying aye. Aye, the motion carries. Chance?
Yeah, yes, sir. We're complete.
Thank you very
We're
much.
done.
Very
Thank
good
you.
report. Let's go straight into the EMS report.
All right. So in August, we had 849 responses, and out of that, we had billed at the time of the report 535. That gives us about 27 calls a day. Our transfers in our facility from Northcrest to Nashville, they're right back up about where they were last year. We're still a few calls behind what we were at this time last year, 6351 versus 6490. And up above, you can see where our responses versus transports were for the previous month and this time last year. And then of course, our number of runs per station, they're listed below. We've got Coopertown up almost into the hundreds, which I never thought I'd see that, but it's really picking up. They even
Don't get worse.
beat Cross Plains. That's right. It's a growing metropolis out there. And then you see the collections below. Rick will go over that here in a little bit, unless anybody's got any questions.
One quick question. Of these units, which unit is our new truck? Our fourth, no, I mean, not our new truck, our fourth truck. Which,
You mean the last one we added?
yeah, you know, we had,
We had the 12, at Unit 12, previously it was only staffed like 10 hours a day, Monday through Friday.
but now it's fully staffed, so it'd be.
It's staffed
okay,
24
okay.
hours a day. So
Really, I wanted to see where it was at.
it made the third 24-hour truck in Springfield, yes,
You
sir.
got it.
So if you took out, you'd have to divide its calls up amongst the 10 and 11, and if you took that out of there, I guess. If y'all don't have any more questions about that, we'll move on to the fleet maintenance report. We spent a little over $12,000 in the month of August. We had some pretty expensive repairs on one of our older trucks there, number 35. It's got one of the higher mileage vehicles. It's almost a 300 now. So we had several things done. Had a little bit of warranty work, not very much. Brakes and things like that. Some batteries. Our truck that had the engine that failed in it, it's covered under warranty, but the engine came in, was delivered, so they're just trying to get it back together. But right now I've got 2 spares and one in the hospital, in the shop. So it's moving right along. We're doing okay though, and all that. Everything's stable and running. We started doing our end of the year inspections. All the ambulances have to be inspected by a mechanic, so we started doing that. The state came last week or week before last and inspected all of our vehicles. Department of Health. We did good on that. So everything's good. Everything's
Okay,
working
very
right
good.
along and in line.
The report. Any questions for Russell? Any comments? Okay, then just finish it up, Rick. Look like we got 2 months worth, so take off.
Yep, since I missed last month, this is, the first page is July 2020, which you guys partially went over last month, but for the month, we billed 383,991.30 on 481 billable runs. As you can see from previous year in 2019, which was 634 runs, significantly lower for the month. Our per call average charge went down from 803 to 798.32. And total collections was up from 101,665.07 to $110,037.90 in 2020. For expenses, we were at $648,161.78, which of that, $321,579 was a workers' compensation annual premium that was paid, that normally gets paid in September or October at times, but this year it was paid in July. So if you take that out and look at comparatively, the expense per call, and basing that on $326,582.78, which is basically the total cost minus the workers' comp premium to get to a comparable cost, it was $678.97. And then our loaded miles, being that we were down in the number of runs, was down from 8,173 miles to 5,764. Any questions about that?
Questions?
Pretty straightforward.
Okay.
And then going to August, we billed $421,500.50 on 524 Billable runs, which again, our billable run accounters are down from 711 to 524 this year. Per call average charge went up from 781.13 to 804.39. And total collections was down from $224,015.36 to $147,064.78. Year-to-date collections is down from $325,586.07 to $257,102.58. And then our expenses, $426,888.10. And then our expense per call was $814.67. And again, our loaded miles was down because the numbers were down from 7694 to 6535.
So while we're up there, Rick, you know, the $75,000 difference between collections from a year ago to now, it's just too early to comment, I guess, because we're only talking about 2 months, right?
Well, we are, but I mean, for one thing, I mean, if you look at the previous month in July, I mean, the number of runs was down, over 100 runs. So that in and of itself, if you look at 30, 45 days out for a revenue cycle, I mean, you're feeling the effect of July in August. So having the number of runs down that much would be a significant impact to our cash this month or in August. But with that said, also, we're approaching the end of the year for Medicare, Medicaid, and a lot of times you see things that slow down revenue cycle-wise close to the end of their budget year. So, you can expect, and through this COVID thing, we have seen an elongated revenue cycle time for Medicare. They came out and said that they were going to be slowed down.
Which would have been what they did in April, May, and June.
Right. And we really haven't seen anything that would make me think or give us any indication that they've sped back up a little bit. So, but anyway, that's why I think that the cash amount now, with that said, going through the rest of the year, if volumes pick up and continue to stay strong, which, they appear to be coming back somewhat, but not necessarily, exactly what they were prior to, which is kind of consistent with healthcare in general. I mean, you've seen it come back, but it not necessarily, back to a pre-COVID state. So.
And you're primarily, I mean, what I really see that drives our revenue these number of runs.
Correct.
Now, comment on why you think the number of runs are down.
Well, I think it's still an effect of COVID.
Yeah, they don't want to get an ambulance.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, Sept?
They do not want to ride an ambulance. They don't even want to see their healthcare provider. They're doing telehealth. So that is still, especially the geriatric population is down a large percentage in the county.
So, Stacy, you think they just don't want to go to the hospital?
Well, not necessarily, but yes, they don't want to go to their primary care, because I do know that numbers across the board are down.
What were you going to say, Randy?
It's people that, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but get a cold or get feeling bad, usually call the ambulance, take a ride. They're scared to get on there and go now. They don't, unless you really think you gotta go, that's when you go now.
Hard to get out.
People.
Yeah.
But no, they're gonna get a stick in the nose, that's true.
Yeah, it's just a little different than what it used to be.
Stop thinking.
Been stupid like that.
Right. And I do think that that's really the primary driver of the runs being down because, and again, that's consistent with what I see throughout healthcare and, talking to other services and other hospitals and, a lot of friends that are physicians, they're down as well. No, I mean, they're not coming. You can get an appointment with your doctor now, as opposed to having to wait.
Oh, they're even calling, say, hey, it's your physical time when you're coming.
Right.
Because, I mean, it's a domino effect right now.
Well, and really, I've had to actually develop telehealth protocols for emergency physicians of health systems that are their volumes in the ER down, so they're trying to do what they can do to reach out to have the technology. So if somebody wants to do a telehealth call, they have the bandwidth to be able to do that from a personnel standpoint. So.
Okay. I just, yeah, I was guessing the same thing, but to formalize it, I want to be sure we get it in the minutes.
Can you imagine that you had to have a stick up your nose to go to church? How many people be going to church now? Bad enough as it is, ain't it?
It's bad enough as it is, yeah. But that's a whole nother issue. If we were general managers of the world, we'd tackle that, but we're not. We're running the EMS department.
I'd grab that stick out of hand and break it in half.
Anything else, Rick?
No, I mean, we've got things that are, that the report that we're, the presentation.
Okay, I'll tell you what,
that we're
hold on, I want you to talk about that, but first, let's get Rick's and Russell's report into the minutes.
I make a motion to
Thank you,
accept.
Stacy.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye. So that's formalized. Now, Rick, talk about our big report and so forth.
Well, we're working on the presentation now. I mean, we've got the slide deck framed out, so to speak, on PowerPoint, so that we'll be able to go through the slides and show how we made the comparisons among the counties, be it through population, square mileage, that we cover, billable runs, so that you can see how we rank among our peers, so to speak, in those regards. We do the same thing with the collections per run to show how we stack up, from a collection standpoint. And then we also are looking at cost to show how we stack up from a cost standpoint. And really what we've done is looked at outliers that we are, looking for anything that can help us get better if there's opportunity there. One of the things that we are looking at is overtime, because that's one of the big things that sticks out, from us comparatively in some of the other counties. Supply costs, just things like that. And then what we're planning to do is take all of the data and then on the second half of the presentation say, okay, well, here's what we found. Here's our outliers. Here's where we really feel like there's opportunity for us. And then from that, being able to put together a dashboard / KPI, KPI report that'll be reported here in this forum every month. So on those things that are outliers, that we can show how we're clicking them down and the measures that we're taking are going to take to address those, as we do it. We'll start off with the PowerPoint presentation and probably the handout, just as a report. And then from that, questions and, comments or whatever. We've addressed it at the supervisors meeting we did this morning and started taking some measures already to adjust some of the things we preliminarily found. And then it'll continue as we march along. So with us working on the slide deck now, that's on our call today, I had a conversation. I just wanted to know the timing that EMS committee and budget committee wanted that, and you said that you felt like that November was the month for us to present that. And so we'll shoot for that, and we'll have it ready a month ahead of time.
Right.
So
yeah, when Rick and I talked, I said based on the chronology, I think that if we could have this finalized report for our meeting in November, and even if we have to make sure the meeting, sometimes we got a problem with Thanksgiving. I don't know how it's going to be this year. But anyway, then when we get together in November. But in addition to that, about a month from now, Rick is going to share with me everything he's found, and Russell too, so that I can start formulating it in my mind. And I want to talk to the county mayor, and I want to talk to the budget chairman before we make our presentation in November.
absolutely.
Okay.
Well, we'll be ready for whatever sequence of events you guys decide is appropriate.
Perfect.
So
Perfect. Any questions? Any comments? 5:53, Commissioner Wilson. Any other thing that needs to come before the committee?
5:37.
Yeah.
5:53.
5:37. What did I say?
5:53.
I'll make a motion with adjourn.
I second.
All in favor signify by standing up.
Yes.
Motion carries.
So